Hi everyone, this is Neil Wright, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. We have here a patient who attended a very deep, impacted, wet, almost soupy earwax. The adjective soupy was from the patient themselves actually after watching the video back. That's how they described it. And the reason why this wax is really wet and soupy is that the patient has been using hydrogen peroxide drops for quite a while in an attempt to remove the wax. And I also, memory serves me correct, they did poke in their ears. And what happens with hydrogen peroxide drops, that is when you insert hydrogen peroxide drops into the ear, it reacts with an enzyme that's secreted by one of the glands in the ear, the ceruminous glands called perinase, if I'm correct. And that then causes the hydrogen peroxide drops to release oxygen, and you get a bubbling formation of oxygen, effervescence it's called, and this foaming bubbling of oxygen within the ear, that mechanical bubbling is believed to help break up the wax. So wax is made up on average about 60% of dead skin cells, so exfoliated skin cells in the ear, and that forms the matrix of the earwax. So think about earwax. In the core, you've got this matrix of dead skin cells and hair strands, and that forms almost like a structure, like a scaffolding, if you like. And then around that, you get these oils and sweats, and collectively, that's earwax. So the effervescence of oxygen through the reaction of hydrogen peroxide drops with perinase, so it's a catalase reaction, that's what it's called. It helps to break up the skin cells. In addition, hydrogen peroxide drops often comes in a water solution, and water gets absorbed by the dead skin cells, and the skin cells then overhydrate. They basically swell up and the membranes break. So, contrary to belief, hydrogen peroxide drops, and no other drops really, not hydrogen peroxides, but no drops out there actually dissolves earwax. So my definition of dissolving earwax, and it could just be that I'm quite literal in my definition, is that the wax disappears, it dissolves, it goes away. So hydrogen peroxide doesn't do that, but it does break up the wax. But it can make it really mushy and wet, and that, as explained, that's because the skin cells become overhydrated, they become macerated, they swell and they expand and they burst the membranes, the skin cell membranes, and you get this effect. And of course, when you poke in the ear, you're going to push it right up against the eardrum. So we're working in this anterior recess region. This is the most difficult part of the ear to operate in. So as the ear canal channels towards the eardrum, it narrows about 0.5 centimetre away from the eardrum, and then the ear canal widens thereafter. And that creates a recess here where I am now. This is an inferior, that's called the inferior recess. It's like a trench, a basin, and also an anterior recess. So the anterior recess, in the case of the left ear, is to the left-hand side. You can see there's a little bit of wax there. Truth be told, I don't think it would have caused the patient too many symptoms, but I'm going to see if I can just get some of this out from there. It is very difficult because we're not only close to the eardrum, but we're very close to the anterior canal wall, and that's very sensitive.